Hello, 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 everyone. Mike Arnold here, co-founder, Path Trading Partners, along with Bob Iacchino for your weekly sector overview. Remember, this is a shortened trading week. Thursday, the exchanges are closed. Friday, it is a shortened day due to Thanksgiving in the U.S. on Thursday. So remember that. Traditionally, it's a pretty bullish week, although not guaranteed to start off the week that way. Cycles are still headed down on the daily basis on the major indices, so do keep that in mind going into the beginning of the week. Friday generally has a short upward gravitational bias to it, so also do keep that in mind, although there are no guarantees, especially in the markets these days, so you're better to stick with the patterns. Looking at XLE, still in buy mode, watching for the pause, could not get a close this week, a higher close, starting to look a little toppy, and oil's pulled back to the daily rotation zone right here, stair stepping higher. You can watch this for a breakdown play below these lows, below this 88.33 low for a bigger pullback. Would that take it out of bullish mode? No. I would be very cautious at being overly aggressive in the energy sector right here. Now, if we get a rotation up, it's a nice pullback to the rotation zone. It would be confirmed on a rotation back above Friday's highs with a close above there. It might be making another run at the highs, but we do have triple divergence stair stepping down. So my advice is to know where your stops are for trailing stops in the energy sector. And unless something's an exceptional setup, wouldn't be chasing it at this point here. XLRE real estate, pause. It's systematically bearish, even though this has been moving up in this channeling flag pattern. It could be getting into a toppy area. I'm not chasing real estate at all right here. I think there's going to be a pretty big breakdown fundamentally, and we still are in sell mode. So I'd be very cautious with real estate plays. XLF is interesting. Back up to this topping area, inside bar, pausing. Pausing inside bar. This is not a double yet, but watch. If this trades a bit higher and then triggers below Thursday's low, that would be a double top for a bigger pullback. Oops, did not mean to hit just that right there. So what I am, though, watching for is if we do break above last week's high, 36.03. Now, it isn't a topping zone, but this could easily make a run up to 36.73 and then closer to 37.16. So do pay attention to that on a little breakout play for the financial sector. XLK. XLK is still in sell mode. Came up between the 50 and 62.5 and pretty much finished as a doji week. And as I said, still in sell mode. This is technology. Technology could be setting up also for a potential double top, but I'd just be watching this 129.60 area. Breakdown below that, 127.41. Breakdown below that, still a gap left behind. And this is still rolling over. The only bullish play is for a breakout above Friday's highs into this topping area. I would be very cautious with technology right now. It's going to, even if it got a close above the 62.5, that would just take it to aggressive buy, possibly, and neutral mode on the system. So that would only be a run up back to the August highs. So do keep that in mind for technology plays. XLI is in hold mode / aggressive buy mode. We start breaking above this 100 area and can get at least a daily close. A green daily close above there could be a little breakout play. Then I would be really focusing on some industrials because this could easily run back to the topping area in last December, retested in March. Remember, we are above the 62.5, so this could easily make a run to 104.74. I need a daily close above 100 to really get the launch pad off, and that would also tip it to buy mode on the longer term system. XLY. Consumer discretionary still has the potential double bottom, not yet triggered. Little pullback that has not invalidated it yet, but if it continues to break down, then this little potential double bottom will be off the table. So I am not really touching anything on consumer discretionary unless we trigger the double bottom. XLP. Follow through after the close above the 62.5. We still need some more upward price action to get it into a long-term buy. However, it can easily make a run for this 76 area for consumer staples. So for short-term plays, consumer staples are definitely on the table, especially with this follow-through. We'll be paying attention to that also on the daily. Anything back to this flat 200 with the rising rotation zone is also a pullback buy area, meaning I will look more aggressively at consumer staples sectors for any entries. XLV. XLV is now back to, with this close, back to long-term buy. Let's see, 134.62, where to close also here, 134.57. So it didn't quite close above the 62.5. Although it is back to long-term buy. So I will be still watching for close next week above the 62.5, which then could take it back to this 140.50 area. But it's also already back to long-term buy for healthcare. So healthcare on any good individual healthcare plays definitely can be played because it's going with the sector. Also remember, you can easily play some of these spiders or these ETFs. Just play the sector ETF if they're in a good position, especially with the breakout play. Material Select still has not shifted to long-term buy mode. Nice little pullback here, holding the 200. So if this gets a nice strong rotation back up, I will start looking again at materials for another breakout play, trying to front run the long-term buy and possibly then also a close above the 62.5 on a weekly basis. Could then take us back to the highs that we haven't seen since April of 22. Definitely keep an eye on Material Select. XLC is still in long-term sell communications. I am keeping an eye. It's starting to trying to put in more of a bottoming pattern with a potentially very sloppy inverse head and shoulders. So if this can get above this 51.27, I will see if there's any communication stock setting up for decent entries. Even though it's against the long-term trend, I will start looking at XLC a little more closely, but on a very, very picky basis. XLU, utilities, still in sell mode. However, this flagging pattern moving up is very interesting. I will be looking especially just at the XLU spider on a breakout play above 69 with the double bottom that's still trading in notes. This could be interesting for a run up into this 50 to 62 area with the target of the 200. So this could be just a play in XLU for a little short pop into that 200, or if there are good setups in utility stocks. XRT, retail, still long-term sell, came up between the 50 and the 62.5 and then closed back down below the 50. I am watching this for a potential breakdown play, especially after Black Friday, Cyber Monday comes out. Not technically a double top yet, but if this makes one more push higher, which could happen on retail this week, it could be a double top play. And then if there are poor results coming out of Black Friday, Cyber Monday, retail could start a sell-off into the end of the year. IYT transportation. Technically, last week closed, did not trigger the longer terms, but last week closed above the 62.5. This week pulling back a little. So as long as this can hold the rotation zone and the 50 EMA, then I'm still interested in looking at transportation plays. I am being cognizant of a potential double top forming if this pushes up by the 200 again. Then it would be, if the double top triggers, transportation plays are off the table again for me. SMH, no shift here. However, remember last week we did get a close above the 62.5, so we still should technically see some potential follow through in the SMH. I am picky and will not touch things like NVIDIA, but there are other still plays that we've covered on this channel that are still potentially good semiconductor setups in the short term. Pay attention to this 200. If it gets another pop higher right around this 227.50 area and then stalls out and then reverses and closes below Thursday's low, semiconductors are off the table for me because that would be a double top trigger. Commodities, DBC, still in long-term buy, pulled back. This is just, can't get out of this congestion channel. Unless there's something really good looking, I'm not touching it for the time being. DBA, agriculture, still in long-term buy, but same thoughts there, not touching it. GDX gold miners did not tip this to buy mode just yet. So I am being patient, but if we start breaking above about 28.60, we'll start looking a little more closely, because then we will have held the rotation zone on the daily, trying to hold this little area drop below it, but I'll give it a little benefit of the doubt, but going to see if this can make a run to the 200 for gold miners. And if gold does not break down strongly, I'll look at gold miners a lot more closely. VTV, Vanguard Value, sort of similar position, holding up here. But if we start breaking above this week's high, 143.28, I'm going to start watching for more breakout plays in value. Again, closed above the 62.5, so we should see a potential run to this 148 area and the topping area back from April for value plays. Could be interesting going into the end of the year. On the daily basis, yes, you do have a very sloppy, because of the way this base was formed, potential double top. If this double top does trigger, then I will wait. I will pause on value and wait till that is out of the way. Growth. Little pullback after triggering the double bottom. And you see rotate back to the rotation zone, trying to hold up. If this starts breaking below 222.03, won't touch it until either the pattern's invalidated or we get a stronger bounce. So that's about it. Now, if it rotates back up above 232, then growth is back on the table in the short term. Remember, if it completes this pattern, it doesn't tip it back to long-term buy. All right, that's where we sit right now with all the sectors. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you, members, for joining the channel and supporting it the way you do. I shall talk to everyone later. Bye for now.